Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to Tackle Tip Tuesday. Today, I'm going to try to go in depth on a weightless worm setup to get you guys on more bigger fish. All right, like I stated in the intro, today is about my weightless worm setup that's been killing it for this spring. And it's one of those things, I used to do this a lot. I used to be all bass fishing all the time. Now I fish for all the fish all the time. So if you guys want to get all nitpicky about what fish is better, they're all good. This is how I work. I fish for everything that swims. And I'm hoping at some point in my life I can catch almost every fish that exists, which is 1.5 feet. I got ground to cover. So let's get started. Okay, so simple thing here. Bag of plastics. I believe I actually have my hooks in there. Let me see. Yeah, I do. I have my hooks in that one. Oh, and the setup. But yeah. Today's Tackle Tip Tuesday is going to be really simple because it's really simple. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a trick to this, and I want you guys to follow along closely. So don't skip around in this video or you're not going to get what I'm talking about here. Okay, so obviously you guys know I got my big beastie ugly stick here. We're going to go through the exact setup here. And basically what I'm going to do for you guys is after the video, if you guys want any of this stuff, it'll be all linked down below. And I'll have it specifically linked just for these things so that you guys can get an understanding of exactly what I used. And if you want to use it and go slay some monsters, it'll be real easy for you. But this, I literally have been just killing it. I mean, it's one of those things, like, what's the thing called? Oh, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, that's it. Keep it simple. So let me go ahead and break this, what I'm holding in my hand, down for you guys. Okay, so I was just recording. Well, I gotta say, not recording. Yeah, I just recorded a whole segment thing for you guys, and yeah, I forgot to hit record. Anyways, we're gonna cut that out, and we're just gonna do this. Simple. Hooks, worms. Doesn't matter which ones. The worms anyways. To start here, this is something that it's one of those things, people are gonna be like, why did you spend so much money on your stuff? It's because I don't like to lose fish. And I've lost fish to inferior products plenty of times. Now, I'm going to show you this. And it's funny because I actually picked up a hook that was laying on the ground the other day. I almost stepped on it. It would have been freaking horrible because these are big, nasty hooks. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see this. This is the Gamakatsu Superline EWG hook. This is like your standard gap, worm gap hook. I don't know who makes this one. Like I said, this is the one I almost stepped on. It's sharp, but I can feel it's lighter and it doesn't do anything here. So that is the difference. This is the hook. This is the one I've been using, and I'm telling you right now, for this type of fishing that I'll show you a clip here in a minute of what I've been using it on. But the trick here is, if you use this specific setup, which I'll link it below, like I do with all my Tackle Tip Tuesdays, every video I link below what I use, so you guys actually can use exactly what I was using. That way when you go out, it's the only error could be on you. And not to be mean, but it literally will be. If you're using everything I'm using, you just got to do exactly what I say, and you'll catch fish. Okay, so I showed you that one. Gamakatsu Superline EWG. This is my go-to hook for these worms. These are the Zoom trick worms, I believe. And then this is black. I think they are a 6 or 7 inch worm. But what I'm gonna go to here is, this is something I'll talk about this in a little bit. You'll be like, why you have another bag of worms that are the same thing? It's because these are the used worms, the ones got tore up. But I don't throw my worms away because there's a use for these. But that's not what I'm going to use those for right now, because it's already a used worm. I'm going to show you real quick how to rig this. I'm going to see if I can make it brighter over here so you can see this. I think, yeah, you can see pretty good then. Okay, so trick with these things, which is funny because it's a trick worm, is you have a, okay, not all worms have this, but this has a flat side and a rounded side. So flat and rounded. When you hook it with the shank on the flat side. So right there, it's got a sharp bend right there in the hook. That's what you go to. Then you take the hook and pull it through. Well, this one isn't going to work because it's so tore up. Actually, don't do that. It can't be healthy for you, but it was going to be bad anyway, so I would never be able to use it again. Alright, so let's try it again. Right here, center of the worm to that first bend. Take it, try to keep it in the middle of the worm, pop it out, just like that. So what I did there, and I'll move the worm up just a little bit, is that flat part is how far in I hooked it, and then I pushed it through. So now you go up the hook shank, and you'll see there's this little zigzag right here, and that's there for a reason. You take your worm, spin it around on top of that, and see, now you can see, here I'll turn it this way. Now you can see how it sits nice and flush like that. And that's because it sits in that zigzag just right. But that's, so the round part is up. And then to hook it properly, you take your finger and run it right up the back of the shank of the hook right there. So right here. Take your finger, pinch the worm right there, and then take the hook, drive it all the way through the worm. So now you have, in theory, when you get good at it, like I'm trying to do this while talking and looking at you guys, the idea would be to be hooked better so that this is straight across versus this little horse or saddle right here. But it'll still do what it needs to do. So now you take, let me see, you take that, here, I'll put it right in front of my face. You take the worm, stretch it out, right there, just like that. And it looks ugly as sin right now. Basically, if you do it right, you'll stretch it out a little bit, you'll put it through, and then when you pull it tight, it'll be tight, and then you stick that little tip into the top of the worm, and then you have a much straighter worm. Plus, when it's a new worm, this'll sit a lot better. The worms are designed to work with these hooks. But now you have a weedless, weightless worm setup. That is how simple that is. Okay, I'll put a clip in after I explain this. I'm going to cast in towards a shoreline with this exact setup, and then what I'm going to do is, to work it back to me, this hook still weighs something, so it's not completely weightless technically, but it does give it a nose heavy feature, and because of the way this is set up, it's fairly weedless. You just got to work it slow. And then whenever a fish bites it, you really got to actually set the hook pretty hard. I've had a couple relearning experiences where you don't get to just like pick up the rod and pop the hook in their mouth, because you made it weedless. You also made it so it's not catching any fish. You have to drive that hook through the plastic in order to get the pop in their mouth. But I'll show you this clip right here of me dragging it in and watching my line. Okay, so other than this setup here, this is the only other thing I can recommend. And I know people go heavier and I know people go lighter, but this is what I use. Suffix 832. It's the high vis yellow, and it's 30-pound test, which is it's an 8-pound mono equivalent. This stuff will cast forever with this. No other weight, just the worm. And that's the big thing about using the proper setups is a lot of people think whatever, you know, I'll just put this line on here or I'll just use whatever line I have on my rods. When you do it right, like in that video, 1, you can cast further with less weight. 2, I was fishing in the heaviest cover I could fish. And when I set the hook on that, I really have to set it real good to get that, you know, hook buried in there. When you do that, and those fish go nuts around lily pads and sticks and trees and weeds and all that stuff. If you had a mono or something like that, the abrasion resistance better be really good because it's gonna just pop and you'll lose the fish almost every single time. So a good heavy braid when you're flipping or pitching a weightless weedless setup like I am, I highly recommend. Okay, so that is literally the gist of how to fish that thing. The video I showed you is basically from this last Sunday's, and it's what it is the fact that if you really want to get the big ones, the real big bass, or any big fish with this setup, you really got to go into the cover. But I'm going to give you guys a little bonus tip here. This bag is all of my used ones where I had ripped up the worm really bad and I was too busy fishing, so I just throw a new worm on real quick. And I have a bad habit of doing that, but I don't want to waste them. So something really simple you can do that a lot of people forget about or don't even think about, for that matter, is so that worm hook I showed you, this guy, or even something as little as this guy, tied on a drop shot setup or just like a Texas rig, anything. But now take it and you go find the middle of the worm like that. There you go. Boom. Wacky rig. I mean, it's that simple. And then this one I already chopped down a little bit, but like if you wanted to, like, you know, you could cut like that much of it down to that little piece right there, throw it on a Ned rig, still good to go. So you could get 3 different functional uses out of this one worm, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm all about saving money. So when you guys get to it, make sure you don't throw your worms away just because you ripped the heads of them off. Keep them around and put them in a bag. I put used worms on here, and then I also wrote the description. I put a wacky rig or a Ned rig for function, just so I'm like reminded. And I put that right in my bag, so whenever I pull a bad worm off or it gets ripped off in the boat or whatever, pick it up, throw it in that bag. So I hope today's Tackle Tip Tuesday helped you guys out. Go use it. Go catch some big fish. Leave some comments below if you have any other questions or any other requests for Tackle Tip Tuesdays. Anything you might see me use. Otherwise, if you're not new here, you know what's up. But if you are new here, please just remember to